Welcome back to another episode of Yelena Talks. This is now the 24th episode, and the title of today is Humility or Fear. So let's just do a little recap of what's been going on these last couple weeks, and my apologies about not being able to release a podcast every single week like I plan. It has just been, and no excuses, but it has been well, to say that it's busy is a little understatement, but it's just wedding planning and remodeling in our home. And I've had family in town for all the holidays. So I do what I can. And the last thing I want to do is release a podcast where I feel forced to produce a product and then just sound very tired or drained or feel rushed. So I usually try to produce any video or any work or a post or anything that I do with my fullest energy and potential in that moment. So if you are listening to this podcast, that means that I have beautiful things to share and I'm in a good space. So let's go into it. I've been reflecting a lot about this concept of humility, and I think in a lot of ways I've just been debunking some of the things that maybe in my mind I've understood about humility incorrectly, reshifting that over the years. But also I think just as a culture, sometimes people, I don't know, like misunderstand certain concepts. Like I had a video on YouTube I released a while ago about, is it niceness or a trauma response? And I think something I've noticed even like in the American culture is people, well, it's like 50-50. You get the people that are just kind of sometimes just blunt and say how it is and little snobby and entitled and not filtered. There's that side. But then there's also like the other side of people that are just so nice, like, okay, thank you, here you go. Well, that's okay, no problem, blah, 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 blah. And sometimes I look at it, and this is just my psychology brain of like how people talk and act and respond oftentimes, again, is just comes from a place or a template in their brain that is a response to the unhealed parts of us or traumas. So for instance, a person who's super nice, like how do you not know, or like what if their actual niceness is produced out of fear of speaking up, fear of, well, what if they do something and they get rejected, or people think a bad opinion about them if they're actually honest about something, or niceness to help them survive. What if it's like a fawn response in terms of trauma reactions? So it's like it all back to the motivations, because again, someone on the outside can look nice or do good things, but that doesn't necessarily mean from the inside it comes from a space of healing and abundance. So I think those are things that I think about and I'm aware. And the more we are personally again, aware and mindful of our own lives, why we do what we do, the better. The more we get to create a life we want. And that's like that Free to Thrive course I released. I really get into it. It's like we break out of this default mode of functioning, how we've done things and survived and talked over, with the span of generations usually. Because by the time you act a certain way, more likely than not, it is now a programmed response over, what's been conditioned or programmed throughout the generations. Also known as learned behaviors, because you're not just going to magically do anything different. That's just not how it works. And so the reason I talk about humility is I have just been doing a lot of my own self-reflection work, always. But I've just been like, I think that there have been some things in my life where, in all honesty, like a little bit in business, it's like I've been putting myself out there, like I've said many times, me having a social media and talking about my life and having a face and, videos and my voice, like that's a big deal. And I had a video this week, do check it out on YouTube. It's my testimony, my healing story of just how much I've been overcoming and shining. And in some ways, yeah, I do feel very confident to shine, to show, because I've just been more loving and forgiving towards myself. But there's also these areas that I'm still like, if I could say, nurturing, developing, and strengthening certain sides of me to shine. And for me, the best way I understand it for myself is that feminine energy side. I've talked a lot about this, but it's that side of me that allows myself to be confident and comfortable as, believe it or not, as a woman. And sometimes I think about like, what in the world, like where did I pick this stuff up? And I think some of it's just kind of like my cultural background, honestly, where, and this is why I'm going to talk about humility today. Um, I think I think culturally there's been a lot of this like orphan spirit stuff we've been breaking off, this like who am I, lack of identity. Even on a, and I say orphan spirit, that's that religious type of stuff. I'm always proving myself and I'm always trying to, strive because I don't feel enough and I'm not loved. So I'm going to compensate in all these ways. From a psychology background, you could say that that's someone who just has identity issues, negative core beliefs, conditional love type of stuff. But my point is, I just, for some reason, don't really remember growing up around women who I would say were very, very confident and comfortable to be themselves and shine. Now, I don't know, and again, that doesn't mean they don't have good hearts. I know a lot of women who are so lovely in their own ways. I just really believe if they were fully healed, they'd still be presenting differently. But I also know just as a nation, as just humanity, we're all growing, evolving, and healing. So, for another culture, maybe it's something different. But for me, I don't know. It's like people would look nice on the outside, but I think sometimes the outside would get a little bit more glamorized than the actual state of a person within. I'm just like thinking right now, I'm processing as I speak this out loud. Coming from a lot of the people, the culture I come from, we came from really poor backgrounds. Like no one really had anything really back in the day, especially like World War II and communism. Again, you didn't have anything. And if you did, the risk is it'd get taken away. So it's like, I think as I've thought about this before, being flashy, standing out, being different was just plain dangerous. It'd make you a target. And something about women, I don't know if it's just as women, we sometimes feel more vulnerable in general with being singled out or maybe feeling unsafe or whatever. But anyways, there's just something about being a woman that in my background, it's like, of course everyone says, oh, that's so cool. But then when I look at it on the inside, and hear me correctly, I'm not talking about just like outfits or anything. That's not at all what I'm talking about. I'm talking about, do I really remember encountering women who are very confident and secure and open and can shine and smile and their body language is open and their arms are like literally open and they can dance and sing? No. And I don't know if some of it is, again, culture and religion. It's like boxed up. Don't do anything crazy. Some of the churches, thank goodness, now you can like put your hand up and praise God because, back in the day it was like, what's wrong with you? Don't put your hand up. Don't clap. Don't, right? That fear stuff. But anyways, back to the women's side. I was also lucky though to have some women from different backgrounds. And even I noticed that the women that were more from like a city background, believe it or not, that were Russian. I remember like my piano lesson teacher who already that's like super high feminine energy because of the creativity and musicalness and that type of flow. Like she was just like on another planet. And as sometimes I thought that was so weird because I was young and I was like, what is this? But at the same time, as a female, I was just so attracted to someone who was so open and could talk and be creative and smile. And I was drawn to that. But I know that like again, the culture I came from, like the women would just like those type of women. And so I think like I have a lot of compassion for my people. I think they've done the best and they've been awesome. But something for myself is I've decided I want to be more open. I want to be able to be expressive with my thoughts and my emotions. And again, if you've heard my healing story, I talked about being fairly closed off and scared and not wanting to show myself, to having the goal of just expressing and saying what I want, how I want, with the joke and facial expression and laughter that I want, without constricting or restraining myself, because I've already been way too long in this like masculine energy stuff where I just want to be relaxed, be free, be healed, have fun. I know that in reality people are actually drawn to that, not this like insanely structured high masculine woman. And so the reason, again, I'm bringing up this topic of humility is a lot of times from my background, people would be like, oh, we need to be humble. And in reality, my opinion is that was actually code, or what was really happening was that person was in fear mode. They're insecure. They're scared. Some of them are just kind of lazy and don't really want to do anything. I'll be honest. But yeah, like I have found that a lot of times, like people are like, well, I want success, but I'm good the way I am. I don't want to be too proud. I'm like, well, what do you mean by proud? And I find that, again, people, not just my culture, but a lot of clients and people I work with, there's this like, I don't know, unspoken fear of being and just shining and radiating. And maybe on a like evolutionary type of level, it is scary when you have so many eyes on you. And no, I'm not saying like you have to act like some puffed up brat hotshot about everything. Of course, I'm not talking about that, but I find that for a lot of people, they don't even know what like humility is. And lots of times I remember talking to my high school, college student kids. Well, let's just say high school kids, like they would not know, did not understand what humility was. But so in my definition, humility is you have a pretty fair assessment of your strengths, what you're able to do. You're able to, and by the way, this is not humility. Oh, good job, you sang that song so good. Oh yeah, and yeah, that wasn't me, that was all God. I was nobody. That's not humility. That's a person who struggles to either receive compliments, to receive and say thank you. Of course, I gave you that, but like you putting yourself out there and expressing and putting your heart into it, good job. Are you able to receive that and say thank you? And anytime I hear people just automatically dismiss themselves, put themselves down, that's not humility. That's actually, let's say, a female or a person who does not have enough of that feminine energy to receive. Because remember, masculine gives, feminine energy receives and says thank you and has gratitude and can just enjoy and bask in that comment without automatically feeling selfish or rude or conceited or proud. Because if that's something that's being triggered in you, then I'm just going to say that's just something that needs to be healed in you. Because like I always use this as an example. Picture you have a young daughter, niece, whatever. If she just danced so beautifully, you won't be like, hey, that was so beautiful, good job, wow. Like any normal parent would want to celebrate this child. But if this child automatically starts to have some of the response, like, because a child, if I think of some, like more pure and innocent, they'd be like, oh yeah, thanks, do you want to see me do this now? Like that's healthy. But then like, why is that not the same for adults? Hey, you just sang that song so beautiful. Hey, the way you smiled when you walked across the room and and the way you moved your hips, wow, that was so like alluring. Like, hey, the way you show up even to your business as a boss, but so graceful and kind. And then the way you delivered that speech, that was amazing. Like someone who could say thank you. That's already like amazing. And someone who can even show up like that, that's even double amazing. Because I think it's honestly just of the devil, where I think a lot of Christian people sometimes somewhere, again, I had this little short video that I posted on Instagram and I had a lot of you reply to it, so thank you, where it's like, yeah, God gave me talents to play the piano. I also put in a lot of skill to develop God's talent. And to put myself out there and just shine and be and have fun is huge. And only the devil would want God's people to hold back all of God's talents and strengths and again, not be able to shine. Because how else are we even like impressing the world? Not saying that we need to impress the world, but like how do we shine? Like what can we possibly give to this world if we ourselves are not confident, not comfortable, not competent, scared? Like I don't care if it's like you're cooking that you can open up your home to and people can like come and have a meal and love it. Like bonus points if you could even say you're welcome. I love doing this versus, nah, it's nothing. It's nothing. It's not. This is embarrassing. Like when I hear people talk like that, it's just such a, again, unhealed, insecure identity. Like, or like, what if like, I find for myself, the more I shine confidently in who I am, what I do, from my coaching to counseling, like I've thought about this many, many times. Like I consider myself fairly very trained as a specialist in terms of psychology, counseling, understanding that stuff. And I see massive results in all my clients. I say that because those are things I developed and I have results that back that up. But, what if I just made this Instagram page and for the last 9 months completely shied away from it and was like, hey guys, maybe I can help you with coaching. I guess I'm kind of good. People say it's pretty good, but I don't know. And like a lot of times people show up in that energy, whether they talk like that or not, without realizing they just have some identity issues and fear of shining, and has nothing to do with humility. And something else I've noticed, that when people start to shine confidently, now again, it does, like you can have 3 people on stage and have a social media and they can literally post the same exact pictures, and I can guarantee you that their motivations and the energy that they are, if I could say, exhibiting or displaying their life or their work, it's going to come from a different type of source. One person could just be proving themselves. The other person is truly confident and healthy and has nothing to prove. They're just showing. And then another person is just, I don't know, deeply feels super insecure, even if their photos are so nice. And that's what I'm saying. Like the more on that inner energy we can just shine, the better. But again, that does not mean other people are able to look at such individuals and celebrate them. And so maybe this is the second part of this topic. You can show up humbly and confidently and just have a healthy sense of self. And you know what? There's still going to be someone who points a finger at you and says, you're showing off. You think you're better than us. Blah, 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 blah. And that's garbage that I've been breaking off of me. Because, it's like that piano story I shared about myself. I played the piano when I was a little girl, and some older woman had to say some nasty comment about it because deep inside she was insecure and jealous and has her own issues. And for that woman to talk about that like that about a young kid is very interesting. But it just shows, like, if that lady was healthy in her feminine, healthy energy, could recognize and celebrate her strengths, which in turn she would be able to then celebrate other people's strengths, she would not be talking like that. She would actually come up to me personally and say, hey, you play so beautiful. I want to hear more, or keep it up, or I don't know, anything kind. But no, there was a lot of just of her insecurities and issues come up, and then the people that try to shine, especially when they're young, like just I don't know, like natural light coming out of them, that's how their light starts to get dampened. Because an insecure person just told you to shut off your light because they're dark inside themselves. And so your light is going to irritate insecure people. And so that's where I've just been, even now at my age, even with social media and life, I still have to battle these voices of like, what are they going to say? And then I have to remind myself, I don't care about what they have to say. I will listen to counsel. But if someone is judging me because they're super insecure and not healed and need to do a lot of their own internal work, I am either doing myself a disservice or just a fool to even listen to that. And why is that my God, that I have to worship their opinions and have their limited, jealous, and insecure opinions of me and my work dictate what I can and cannot do? And that's where I really break down in the coaching and counseling, like what's the spirit behind people's comments, motivations. And so it's like I really don't care that people go to church. Like, I mean, that's good. But what I'm saying is, like, regardless if you're like a believer or not, I'm still gonna look at the inside of your heart. And of course I'm not gonna ever know 100,000% like, oop, that's jealousy speaking out of you. But I think there's sometimes signs of, indicators if a person's coming from a healthy spot or not. And we have people all around us, inside the church and outside of the church, and everyone operates out of these different principles: health, love, and security versus danger, threat, survival, jealousy, insecurity, you name it. And I think on a biblical level, like, this is something I've been learning more and more and more. I honestly think on the outside, it just matters very little to God what is happening on the outside compared to, I believe he just sees really the inside. And I've talked about this in previous podcasts. I don't care if you have money or you don't have money. Like, we can have people who have a lot of money who, are so in that scarcity, cheap, just kind of ugliness on the inside. And sometimes we have just amazing people, healthy, confident, loving, like, can celebrate other people, and they have a lot of money. So, like, money in itself, or any other resource, or your house, or your car, or your clothing, or your watch and bag, like, that to me still tells me little unless I get to experience, I guess if I could say this, the substance and spirit of your heart. And that's how I believe God judges. Equally, a person who has nothing on the outside, that to me tells me nothing. Because in the inside, they could be complete poverty mindset, irresponsible. They could be so insecure. They could be so many things. But they also could be like, I don't know, like, minimalistic, or just very content and humble in their own way. But I do not look at external things and judge people. It's no different than, it's like, oh, this person's married and that person isn't, and this other person is married 2 times. That status tells me little, maybe, unless, like, we've had some, like, broken cycles and issues. But I'm just saying in general, like, what's really happening in the heart. Because I can meet a single person who has, again, more health and abundance and love and the spirit and freedom of God inside of them than someone who's married, and vice versa, of course. So I think, like, this is religion. We look on this outside stuff. It's a form of godliness or health or prosperity, but it denies the power, aka it lacks the power on the inside. And so, like, in my opinion, like, I don't care if I have 500 followers on my Instagram page or 500,000. It's gonna go back to, like, who am I as a person? What energy am I working out of? What am I attracting, right? Mirroring kind of what I put out. And, like, what quality work do I have? I'd rather have 5 followers and do amazing work with these 5 followers than 500 followers and no one wants to work with me and I get no business. Again, it's always going to be the quality of the heart and therefore life versus, like, quantity or image or whatever. So again, humility, it goes both ways. Like, please assess yourself. Am I doing this at a, like, healthy pride? I'm humble. Like, I did this. I'm not proving anything. I'm not, like, also it's, like, super self-deprecating and so mean to myself. Like, check your heart. Like, where are you just being humble and just shining and doing your thing? Versus you're saying you're humble. Oh, I'm not going to do that. No. When in reality, the only reason you're not opening up that business, you're not going on dates, you're not meeting new people, you're not finally going on a vacation, you're not finally, like, changing your business route, because you're afraid, you're scared, what people are going to think, oh, I can't stand out. Or even worse, like, I don't feel like I even deserve that. That's not humility. You don't even know your worth and value. Like, you're not healed in that. And then again, you could do life really well and be operating out of an amazing singer heart. I'm just going to remind you, there's still going to be unhealthy people who still have something negative to say. So don't worry about that. That's their life. They need to fix that. So I've just been really for myself and my business as I can. Oh, I was going to say the reason I actually am doing some counseling work now, I actually pivoted or maybe even rebranded my counseling business a little. So I've been having a lot of people reach out to me, and I understand like people are seeking for answers and solutions. And I think in the world, this is where we're at, like looking for help. I've been noticing that people have been reaching out, and sometimes I'm like, oh yeah, that's definitely a client that's going to benefit from coaching. And I've had other people who I'm like, yeah, that's going to be counseling. And instead of me saying no, 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 I decided to rebrand my counseling practice a little bit. And so I've made it online only for Washington State residents because that's where I'm licensed. And like coaching, I'll do like different packages, but counseling, it's just like per session, like however many sessions you continue. Like usually I have clients that work with me until they're either financially able to, or B, until they're done, they receive their healing. And it's pretty obvious when we're done, by the way. But yeah, so I decided to work with roughly ages 20 to 35ish. Of course, I can like talk to people if they have the means and we're still a match, then I could have some flexibility. But yeah, I just do these online sessions, and I've already had a couple people contact me. So if you're interested, definitely sign up and let's talk and do a consultation. But just realize, like for myself, like how can I continue to shine and be myself? Where am I still holding myself back? Where does that rejection stuff still try to creep in? Where am I not letting myself even celebrate? And I'm just telling myself that's me being humble by being in the down low. But in reality, that just comes from a spirit of like core issues that I'm still like so much better at, but still like eradicating, maybe not feeling good enough or worthy to be celebrated. And I'll even be honest, like I was so glad, like I talked to you guys, and hopefully I encourage with my coaching, counseling kind of content, like psychology, right? But like I'm still human. I still have friends that put me in my spot and remind me. I still have a man that still will tell me, okay, Yelena, you need to shine, or okay, Yelena, chill out. And I just had a conversation with one of my friends, and I'm just so glad she just said this so beautifully. I was telling her about wedding stuff, and unfortunately, right now with the house we're remodeling and the wedding and just me and my businesses, I'm like, okay, this is a lot. I'm grateful to juggle these many blessings, but I was talking to my bridesmaids, and I was like, okay, girls, you know, a couple of them are out of town, and I'm like, okay, if you guys can't come here during like these different things, like the bridal party or whatever, like don't worry about it. Like you don't have to come here. You don't have to spend all this money and time and blah, 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 blah. And I'm so glad, and this is why she's my friend, my bridesmaid. She's like, Yelena, let other people choose for themselves. Don't make that decision for them. And she's like, my roommate told me this. And it's like, of course I know these principles, but it's different, you know, when we get blinded to our own stuff. But I was like, I know, but I just feel bad, and I don't want you to feel like blah, blah, blah. And she's like, stop. No, you get to celebrate. You've celebrated everyone else with their weddings and bridal showers and bachelorette parties and everything else people make up. Let yourself celebrate whatever you desire, and let people choose to either come and attend these things if they're able to or not. Don't make that decision or assumption that people can't make it or don't want to or don't have money or time, and just believe that if anyone wants to join, they will find the means and be more than happy to join. Like choose yourself and let people choose for themselves, instead of you just crossing out all these different things because you're afraid to inconvenience other people. You know, and I'm like, you know what? You're right. Like that's something I've been trying to do, is choose myself, pick myself. And the more I show love to myself, the more then again I attract people who want to celebrate, who have the time or the money or the means or whatever, like to show up, right? They say where there's a will, there's a way. And so instead of me feeling like some inconvenience or hassle and then creating a life that obviously reflects that by not even doing a little fun party for myself with my friends, I gotta continue to choose myself and radiate, because that is the abundant life. Like you choosing to have life experiences, opportunities, and feelings that you celebrate, and again attract people who want to celebrate with you. Because the reality is, like the same bridesmaids, when it's her party, her time to get married, we've prayed forever about this, right? I wouldn't want her to be like, okay guys, just show up to my wedding if you barely can, like if you can't, I understand, but I don't want to inconvenience anyone, so please forget about just no bridal shower, no bachelorette, no presents, no nothing. Like, it's just, we've been waiting for this forever. Let's just be done with it. I don't want her to act like that. And so I have to check myself. Then why am I acting like that? And then when I did some digging, I'm still fighting off some of these things of sometimes not feeling like worthy to deserve love and lavishment. And I always sometimes, every time I hear this, like, this is why I love that the Bible says the word lavish love. To whom Jesus loves, he lavishes his children with love. He doesn't just, the Bible never says he's expected to provide as the father, so he'll give you the bare minimum, so you better survive and be happy. The Bible does not talk like that, because that's not how a king of abundance acts towards his children. And so anytime I think of this like lavishment stuff and these words like the abundant life and abundance and to whom he believes, even more will be given, and just all these like pretty amazing Bible verses, sometimes I just like immediately, for whatever reason, think about I don't know, sometimes I hear this like religious voice back, and that's probably something I'm still breaking off of me, because I think in some degrees, like, there's always these like layers of healings and different roots that get exposed. But like I can kind of hear myself sometimes being like, wait, I'm struggling not feeling like I deserve these big, like, I'm not talking about the bare minimum, I'm past that, but these like lavished moments and opportunities of love and abundance. And that sometimes when I think of that, sometimes I hear this voice back that's like, that's prosperity gospel, and ask not what you can get, but what you can do for other people. And and that's how people start to get all selfish, and we are consumed and conceited with our own lives. And like, what other voices do I hear back? Like the cross and blah blah blah, that type of stuff. And honestly, I just sit with that comment sometimes, these voices I hear back, like spirit of religion and orphan spirit and works and the law. And I just confront that, like, no, I'm not living off of that anymore. No, that's not my life anymore. So anyways, I just wanted to say that I am definitely still figuring out a lot of ways that I could still continue to shine and not discount myself, and still be present, and still put myself out there, and still, how do I say this? Confidently shine and show off God, the one that created me, and the talents and skills that he's given me. So obviously still a work in progress, but that's just been like a checklist in my head. Anytime I like show up, shine, or don't shine, I just ask myself, what is that? Is that because I'm being humble? Or is that because I'm scared? Is it because I'm shining and I'm confident? Or is it because I don't feel like I am worthy to deserve X, Y, and Z? And these are just these constant things I'm kind of still reprogramming in my mind to continue to shine and let myself shine. So I wanted to also kind of end with this. I've had a couple, anytime, I have my podcast, and anytime I hear anyone share like a comment or message me about how much my podcast impact them, like, I love that. Like, that to me means the world, because I'm a relational person, and the more connection I have with actual humans, the the more I love it. And so I just wanted, as a token of my thank you, I'm not even advertising this like in written form or anything, but if you hear my voice and you hear this and this is for you, I wanted to say thank you to my loyal listeners that actually listen to my podcasts, like from beginning to end. And I released my Level Up course. If you go to my social media, you'll see all the attachments, all the links in the bio. If you are able to, if you're interested, you can get a 10% code off for that. And then I've not advertised any codes for it except for my loyal listeners. And in this course, it's like a 90-minute course. I break down the 3 areas we all got to clean up. Don't matter if you're an entrepreneur, just a human, it doesn't matter. And of course, I talk about like core beliefs and how do we reprogram this. And no surprise, I think it does go into this like humility versus confidence type of stuff. So your code is loyal listener 10. Okay, spell it out, loyal listener, and then the number 10, 10. That's going to work for the Level Up course if you would like to snag that deal. So anyways, as always, I love your guys' comments, your conversations. Let me know how this impacts you, what else you want to hear from. I love connecting to my people. And just a reminder, you guys are not the only ones growing. I'm constantly growing and shifting everything in me as well. So God bless you all. Thank you for listening, and continue to shine.